And the moment you've all been waiting for, 2019 BlizzCon. Let's get ready to China!
BlizzCon. We love Diablo. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
You guys were wondering, why is the couch red? Ha! Now you know, everyone.
Everyone's
Now you
Googling,
know.
what percentage of Laymen is owned by Tencent?
You'll never know. We covered our tracks well, people. 51%. That's right. And the other 49 is owned by EA.
Yeah.
This is one crazy news story.
Probably
Honestly,
the biggest of the year.
It might even be the biggest story we've ever covered. I'm not joking, because the number of upvotes on Reddit, the number of politicians talking about this. I know Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot boxes was up there. This feels like it's an international incident at this point. This is
Mr. Worldwide.
crazy. This is Mr. Worldwide. So basically, today's episode, we're going to tell you pretty much everything that's happened since the news broke. There's so much shit that's gone down. Let's just do a complete blow by blow, because this shit is fucking nuts.
Sure, that's the drop.
Hey, just was wondering.
To everyone that tuned in yesterday, look, I mean, it's pretty well known now, but if you've been living under a rock,
Or in communist China.
Of course,
You're not going to
either
hear
one.
about that news there either. So.
Either one. Then there has been a Hearthstone tournament. Recently, a winner of that tournament called Blitzchung. Okay, he won, and then he was on the after thing after you win. He was speaking to two commentators. They went under the table, obviously knowing that he was going to say something. He came out in open support for Hong Kong with some free Hong Kong slogans. It didn't go well for everyone at that little moment.
Blizzard responded by taking away this guy's prize money, banning him from the tournament for a year, and firing both of the casters that were involved, citing the fact that they knew that he was about to say that slogan, and they let it happen, so therefore that's on them.
Look, it's worked out for Blizzard, man. Like, it's all good.
No one really minds.
You know?
Everyone understands.
They're back on track. BlizzCon is only a couple of weeks away.
That's right.
It's going to go so smoothly.
Uncle, you better come look at this.
What? BlizzCon.
I seen one.
Not like this.
Dial 911.
So, okay, that's the background to all of this. What's happened since that time? Well, I guess one of the things that happened initially when Blizzard did put up their statement to, you know, the West in English, was they also put out a statement at the same time on Chinese social media. And this didn't get any coverage because we didn't know about it back then. Now we know about it. Here's what they said to the Chinese about this situation. We are very angered and disappointed at what happened at the event and do not condone it in any way. We also highly object to the spreading of personal political beliefs in this matter. Effective immediately, we banned the contestant from events and terminated work with the broadcasters. We will always respect and defend the pride of our country. That's pretty nuts. Like, that's a statement
Coming from
that's actually a statement from Activision Blizzard.
And that's an American company, our pride of our country.
I mean, that's insanity. So just to be clear, this did happen at the same time as the other statement saying that they were taking action against, you know, the winner and the casters, etc., etc. That's weird. I mean, look, I have seen different translations that don't refer to it as our country, but they refer to like the dignity of the nation or something like that, right? So don't focus on the our word, but definitely focus on the fact that they're talking about like, we will always defend the glory and honor of China. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a weird thing for like, and it's so Blizzard to say, man.
Yeah, it's so grossly like appeasing. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's so obvious what's going on here, people. Like, it's actually the grossest thing Blizzard's ever done.
Well, what am I then?
You are my bitch. That's what. My own personal
bitch.
And then, guys, the politicians got involved, okay? So I
always a
thought
good start.
it was going to just be like a gaming thing. Haha, no, as I said, Mr. Worldwide, we've got senators in America now talking about this too.
Yes, Democrats and Republicans, they can't agree on much these days, but one thing they can agree on, Blizzard
China.
bad.
They can agree on China.
Impeach Blizzard.
Yes.
Blizzard shows it is willing to humiliate itself to please the Chinese Communist Party. Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat, I think that's of Oregon, said no American company should censor calls to freedom to make a quick buck. Recognize what's happening here. People who don't live in China must either self-censor or face dismissal and suspensions, Senator Marco Rubio, Republican from Florida, said in a tweet on Tuesday. China using access to market as leverage to crush free speech globally. Implications of this will be felt long after everyone in US politics today is gone.
And of course, Blizzard's like, I had a conversation with China. It was a great call.
Perfect conversation.
Perfect.
No one can say a bad word about
I
it.
can give you the transcripts. It's all good. Also, Activision also had a conversation.
The transcript will literally say, we are censoring these people to make you happy, you know? Blizzard will be like, it was perfect, man. No, but seriously, when you have politicians on both sides of the aisles united saying that this is really, really bad, you know you've screwed up. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
it's like alien invasion. That's the only thing that's going to band people together, and Blizzard. That's
right.
And China, the two things.
So obviously Blizzard employees themselves didn't take this lying down. We already covered the story that they were covering up that, you know, every voice matters sign or whatever that's on the ground with their statue.
And it goes further now. They've actually now, a small number of employees at the Blizzard campus have come out and started actively protesting, walking out of work and making it pretty clear, showing their faces and whatnot, that they're not happy with what Blizzard's doing.
There was about 30 people involved in that walkout, and they stayed out there for a number of hours, making themselves very visible to anyone. So Blizzard staff are not on board with this either. Here's a very big deal that went down, though. During a collegiate Hearthstone tournament that was being broadcasted, one of the teams actually held up a sign saying, Free Hong Kong. Like, that was in America.
And they cut that real quick.
And they just
see that?
Cut transmission!
They
cut
really
transmission! So they cut away from the guy holding up the sign, and then they went to the other team, and then that was that. There was no post-game interview, and after that now they have banned cameras at collegiate matches. There are no more cameras allowed broadcasting the actual teams playing at these collegiate matches to avoid that as well. Brian Kibler, who is a noted Hearthstone caster, has actually resigned. His statement is a lengthy one, but I think a really good one. He makes some really interesting points. He says, you know, here are the facts as I see them, and then he says, even so, I do think that Blizzard was correct in issuing him a penalty for his actions, speaking about Blitzchung. They don't want to set the precedent for their official broadcast being used as political tools. The players agreed to particular rules for behavior, and he violated those rules. I've seen many descriptions of this situation claim that Blizzard took action against Blitzchung for his support of the Hong Kong protest, but that's not an entirely accurate description. They did not penalize him for his political stance, they penalized him for breaking the rules by using their official broadcast to promote his stance. All that having been said, there are additional factors at play here. The punishment meted out to Blitzchung is incredibly harsh. I could understand a fine or even a short suspension from competitive play, but removal from Grandmasters, clawing back the prizes already earned and banning him for a full year seems completely overboard to an extent that feels completely unwarranted and unfair. I won't pretend to understand the intricacies of the geopolitical situation in China and Hong Kong or the full extent of Blizzard's business interests there, but to me, this penalty feels like it is deeply rooted in both. The heavy-handedness of it feels like someone insisted that Blizzard make an example of Blitzchung, not only to discourage others from similar acts in the future, but also to appease those upset by the outburst itself. That's a pretty powerful statement.
Yeah, and
it's so on the money, I think.
And it's so on the money, and like, I definitely see that way of thinking. Like, look, do we want to get to a stage where any public event, like anyone is just throwing out their political ideas constantly?
They're like, vote for local mayor Robson.
Yeah.
He has a really good policy on sanitation.
Exactly, right.
Thank you for me winning the Hearthstone.
Yeah,
Okay,
like,
you got to have a balance.
You got to have a balance. There is a grey area there. Now, you know, maybe a small penalty, fine. I understand that he probably knowingly broke those rules. A slap on the wrist, maybe a ban for the next game or something. Like, I'm open to those ideas because, as I said, it kind of keeps things then kind of balanced in why most people are tuning in to watch the Hearthstone tournament. At the same time, man, like he's completely on the money. And like to do this, this isn't about, you know, breaking a rule. It's about like, oh, is China watching? Oh, great, you're watching. Let's just show you how like we're just in complete like enslavement to you, you know?
We're just about to get our first pictures from inside, and we'd like to... Ladies and gentlemen, we've just lost the picture, but what we've seen speaks for itself. It has apparently been taken over, conquered, if you will, by
China.
One thing is for certain, there is no stopping them. And I, for one, welcome our new overlords. Like to remind them that I can be helpful in rounding up others to conquer.
Mark Kern is a very notable former Blizzard employee. He was one of the team leads on the original World of Warcraft. He's since then been a very vocal gaming commentator. He was actually a big adjutant for the existence of Classic WoW. He was one of the people that was saying this needs to exist. I believe he actually met with Blizzard during the planning phase of like Classic WoW to kind of like encourage them to do it. He wrote this hurts, but until Blizzard reverses their decision on Blitzchung, I am giving up Classic WoW, which I helped make and helped convince Blizzard to relaunch. There will be no Mark of Kern guild after all. He goes on to explain why. It's a very long tweet thread, but really worthwhile reading. He basically has, you know, it's got 28,000 likes on it. He is boycotting the product he helped create as a stance against what Blizzard have done here. But that wasn't the only resignation. One of the Hearthstone mods actually resigned from the Reddit. From the subreddit. It's got 46,000 upvotes, basically saying that Blizzard is not a company he can support anymore. If you go on the Hearthstone subreddit, it's a complete dumpster fire of people just resigning, closing their accounts,
making memes.
Check this out, actually. This is a graph of the search term how to close or how to delete a Blizzard account. As you can see, it's really spiked towards the back end there. People are obviously very unhappy about this. The Blizzard Reddit, by the way, actually went private for a time because one of the mods actually just went rogue and decided to put it on private so no one can actually access it. And then he deleted his own account. So that Blizzard subreddit was actually completely inaccessible for a time.
I thought it was going down the route that that was Blizzard that was actually going to be shutting that down.
No, that's it. No,
really?
So there's that. There's a rival card game called Gods Unchained who have stepped up recently and said that they will never sort of, ban people for exercising their right to free speech. They have offered to pay that Blitzchunk's prize money
and his ticket into the next game, the next tournament they're going to be doing.
Exactly right. So they're obviously
but
saying...
heaps of companies do that. They always jump to like, oh, this is a moment we can kind of get in and get some free marketing.
Well, speaking of, that's actually a good point because also Epic Games and Tim Sweeney have come out. Epic Games bad. And
Epic Game's still bad. Tim Sweeney just doing this to be like, again, jump on the marketing train.
And funnily enough, Tencent actually owns a fair chunk of Epic Games. And they've said specifically, Epic Games have said they won't ban players for political speech. They said Epic supports everyone's right to express their views on politics and human rights. We wouldn't ban or punish a Fortnite player or content creator for speaking on these topics. Tim Sweeney then went onto Twitter to say exactly the same thing. So, I mean, that's obviously good. That's a good thing. You've got companies standing up.
I'm looking forward to Tencent hearing about this, and then the whole statement's just redacted.
Yeah, Tim Sweeney.
Tim Sweeney goes missing, everybody.
Tim Sweeney, what you saying? Tim Sweeney's brain's just like 404, file not found.
Yeah.
I guess the last meaty one is that very intelligently, there's a movement going on right now to turn Mei from Overwatch into a symbol of resistance in Hong Kong. Basically, you can see images of her everywhere, like saying "Free Hong Kong." She's set against the Hong Kong flag, etc., etc.
Yeah, it's very smart because I think that if it is successful and then we continue this trend of just China banning everything they don't like, this goes exactly against what Blizzard was not wanting to happen. Having Overwatch potentially banned or may potentially ban in China, I mean, that would just be such a poetic justice. Wouldn't that just be perfect to see that? I mean, who knows if that happens, if Diablo characters then become, another symbol, and World of Warcraft characters just doesn't end until every Blizzard character has some sort of Hong Kong meaning.
There's one Asian dude in Diablo 3, I forget his name.
Oh, the monk?
There's the monk. Yeah, there's Chinese. I guess his monk.
Is he a monk?
There's also one character who like you meet along the way who's got a really Chinese accent and I forget his name.
I can't remember now.
Anyway, let's get to work on that, right?
Sure.
Let's turn that guy into a symbol as well. Yeah. So look, either way, this is pretty much all the major news items that have happened over the last 24 hours. This is a massive, massive disaster for Blizzard on an unparalleled scale.
It's only a few weeks before BlizzCon. Like,
how do you do a BlizzCon at this point? Can I just ask that question? How do you actually do a BlizzCon where you have people who can wear whatever they want? They can wear masks, like because of cosplay and whatever else. They can dress up as Hong Kong protesters. They're gonna have Q&A sessions where anyone can grab the mic and just start saying, "Oh yes, my question is in relation to World of War, free Hong Kong." You know what I mean? Like at any point in time, how do you actually do a BlizzCon?
They have to completely go back to the drawing board, and if they do, it's going to be the worst thing for them. But like, I understand as a company why they're gonna try and like keep BlizzCon on track. But the bottom line is, the moment they come out and make any statements about like you can't dress up as certain, cosplay, you can't do certain things at BlizzCon, like ask certain questions. I mean, it is going to be an absolute disaster. Now, if they had 6 months up their sleeve, it probably would have died down by then. But it's too big now. It's only 3 weeks away. This is the stuff we're going to see. There's going to be a meme review of BlizzCon because there's just going to be so many people that just jump on this train.
But like, rightly so. Rightly so.
Yeah, and the worst part about this at the moment, I think, for Blizzard is they don't have a major game coming out soon to like save them. Randy Pitchford, he was a jerk and all that, but he had like a great game coming out, and when it came out, a lot of people just focused on how great the game was. Blizzard doesn't have anything coming out for a long time.
Bro. Diablo
Immortal, though.
This is it, right?
We haven't heard anything about that either. Like,
imagine, because I believe that's actually co-developed with a Chinese company from memory.
Yes, it is.
And so, could you just imagine, how do you drop Diablo Immortal news at this convention when this entire strategy is about maintaining access to the Chinese market because the mobile dollars are what matters? Like, this entire thing rests on essentially Diablo Immortal.
Yeah.
It's the craziest perfect storm you can imagine.
And like the entire Overwatch kind of moment that happens at every BlizzCon. Like, can you imagine what's going to happen there? When Jeff gets up and then he's talking about Overwatch, and like that's going to be the moment where a lot of Hong Kong protesters are going to be there.
Some new game features.
Yeah. Like, there's no longer any Mei. We've changed her name and changed her aesthetically completely.
We've removed the ranking system. We've replaced it with the social credit system. So look, as I said, we'd like to make jokes about this, but I think it is important to remember that at the very core of this story is a legitimate political protest of the people of Hong Kong fighting for their rights.
Basic human rights that, of course, everyone deserves. So look, and we were happy to see in the previous video that the comment section was very civil. It's great. Like, it's not a bad thing to have a discussion about this, but at the same time, I mean, like, Blizzard has gone way too far on this, and I'm glad that we're seeing a gigantic backlash on this
for sure.
And it'll be very interesting to see how BlizzCon goes.
Well, we won't be there, but we'll be memeing it from afar, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. That's it?
Zaijian.
What does that mean?
I think it means goodbye.
I mean, maybe it doesn't. Goodbye.
Probably.
Ni hao.